You know, some disappearances, they really just stick with you
Yeah,
and they echo through history.
totally.
It's like people and machines just gone,
Just swallowed whole.
vanished.
Yep.
And I think for a lot of people, when they think about that, the story of Flight 19
Oh, yeah.
and the Bermuda Triangle,
Big one.
it is like the ultimate mystery.
Well,
So today on the deep dive, we're going to try to cut through all that kind of sensational stuff,
right.
all those myths,
Let's get to the facts.
and go straight to the official record. We're going to be looking at excerpts from the Naval History and Heritage Command website
Excellent source.
to understand what the U.S. Navy itself says about what happened to those 5 Avenger bombers.
Exactly. We're going right to the source. Forget the headlines, the crazy stories for in it.
Yeah.
We're focused on the Navy's own account of what they call the loss of Flight 19.
Mm.
And this is a primary source. So that means we're getting the story straight from the people who were there, the people who investigated it.
Awesome.
It's a factual perspective on an event that is truly baffling.
Okay, so let's actually set the scene here, paint a picture for everybody. December 5th, 1945.
Okay.
Just after 2 p.m., 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers
Wow.
take off from the U.S. Naval Air Station, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
All right.
And this isn't like some crazy top-secret mission or anything.
Right.
It's a routine navigational training flight.
Gotcha.
And at the helm of this, we've got Lieutenant Charles C. Taylor.
Okay.
Now, this is a really important point, I think. He's not some rookie pilot.
Right.
He was a very seasoned naval aviator.
Experienced.
Yeah, he had approximately 2,500 flying hours,
Wow.
which is a lot. And that included multiple combat tours in the Pacific during World War II.
So this is a guy who's seen some things.
He's been through it.
Absolutely.
This is not his first rodeo.
Yep.
And these TBM Avengers that made up Flight 19, they weren't small planes.
Right.
They were powerful torpedo bombers. They
Yeah.
were built for combat.
Yep.
And the exercise they were doing this was called Navigation Problem Number 1.
Okay.
So they were headed east to the Hens and Chickens Shoals,
Hens and chicken shoals.
which, if you're not familiar,
Right.
these are shallow areas of the ocean.
Okay.
And they were going there for some practice bombing runs.
Right.
After that, the plan was to fly north over Grand Bahama Island,
Okay.
and then finally back to NAS Fort Lauderdale.
So, nice little triangle.
Yeah, pretty standard training exercise.
Right.
And actually, the weather forecast for that day was also pretty normal.
Okay.
Generally normal conditions with maybe a few scattered showers anticipated.
So nothing too crazy,
Nothing that should have been a problem.
especially for experienced pilots.
Yeah, in these really robust aircraft.
Right.
And in fact, the first part of the flight went exactly according to plan.
Okay.
They completed their bombing runs at Hens and Chickens Shoals.
Uh-huh.
No issues.
Smooth sailing.
It was as they began to turn north for that second leg of the triangle that things took a very strange turn.
Interesting.
So here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, I'm ready.
Around 3:45 p.m., the flight tower at Fort Lauderdale
Huh.
received a message from Lieutenant Taylor.
Okay.
And it was clear from his voice that he was confused and worried.
What did he say?
His initial message was very direct.
Okay.
He said, "Cannot see land. We seem to be off course."
Whoa.
Just think about that for a second.
Yeah.
These are trained pilots.
Yeah.
They have a predetermined route.
Right.
And the leader's reporting that they can't even find land.
That's not good.
No. So, of course, the tower's immediate response was, "What is your position?"
Makes sense.
But then silence.
Oh.
For a while, they couldn't get any response from Flight 19.
Hmm.
And the tower personnel, they said it was a clear day.
Okay.
They couldn't see the planes anywhere in the expected airspace.
That's weird.
It is really strange. And then finally, they reestablished contact with Taylor.
Okay.
And he repeats that same alarming message.
What did he say?
He said, "We cannot be sure where we are. Repeat, cannot see land."
Oh, man.
And you can just almost feel the anxiety
Yeah.
on both sides of the radio.
Right, like something's wrong.
Yeah. And then it gets even more unsettling because the next transmission,
Uh-huh.
it wasn't Taylor's voice.
No.
It was someone else from Flight 19.
Wow.
And they came on and they said, "We can't find west. Everything is wrong. We can't be sure of any direction. Everything looks strange, even the ocean."
So it's like their whole sense of direction is just gone.
Yeah, it's more than just being lost geographically.
Okay.
It's like they don't even understand their surroundings anymore.
That's terrifying.
It is really creepy. And then to make it even more perplexing,
Uh-huh.
the official records indicate that at some point, Lieutenant Taylor actually handed over command of the flight to another pilot.
What?
We don't know why.
That's bizarre.
It's really strange to think about a seasoned leader like him
Yeah.
in a situation like that,
Right.
giving up command.
I mean, maybe he was injured or something.
It's possible, but we don't know.
Yeah.
And then, after another 20 minutes of silence,
Okay.
the new leader's voice comes through the radio.
Yeah.
And the report describes his tone as trembling.
Oh, wow.
Almost hysterical.
Yikes.
He's saying, we can't tell where we are. Everything is. Can't make out anything. We think we may be about 225 miles northeast of base.
He sounds really panicked.
Yeah, he's rambling.
Right.
He's clearly in a state of extreme panic and disorientation.
So what happened next?
Well, these were the final chilling words ever heard from Flight 19.
Oh, no.
Last transmission.
What did they say?
It looks like we are entering whitewater. We're completely lost.
Oh, my gosh.
And the Naval Air Station, they responded immediately.
Okay.
They scrambled 2 PBM Mariner flying boats.
Okay.
These were big aircraft equipped for search and rescue.
Right.
And they sent them toward Flight 19's last estimated position.
So they were going to try to find them.
Yeah. And just 10 minutes into their flight, one of the rescue planes made contact with the tower.
Okay.
Just to check in.
Right.
But that was the last anyone ever heard from that plane.
Oh, no.
It disappeared too.
So both Flight 19 and one of the rescue planes just vanished.
Along with their entire crews.
So how many people were lost?
14 men from Flight 19
Wow.
and 13 from the rescue plane.
That's a huge loss of life.
It's a tragedy.
Yeah.
And the Navy, along with the Coast Guard and other naval aviation personnel,
Right.
they launched this huge search operation.
Great.
It lasted 5 days.
5 days.
5 days.
Wow.
They covered over 250,000 square miles
That's a huge area.
of the Atlantic and Gulf waters.
And they found something, right?
They found absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
No bodies, no wreckage, no life rafts.
Not even a piece of a plane.
Not even an oil slick.
It's like they just disappeared into thin air.
It's as if they ceased to exist.
Mhm.
And you think about it, even in a vast ocean like that, debris from a downed aircraft usually surfaces eventually.
Right.
But there was nothing.
That's really strange.
It's one of the things that makes this so mysterious.
Yeah.
And of course, the Navy, they conducted a formal investigation.
Of course.
But the official outcome was inconclusive.
They couldn't figure out what happened.
They could not determine what caused the disappearance of Flight 19 or the rescue plane.
So we're still left with this mystery.
Even today, we
Yeah.
don't know for sure what happened.
That's incredible.
And it's just this huge loss.
Yeah.
27 men
Right.
just gone.
A real tragedy for their families and for the Navy.
Absolutely. So if you're interested in learning more about this,
Yeah.
the Naval History and Heritage Command website,
Okay.
it actually has a whole list of suggested readings.
Oh, cool.
And it's got things like the official accident reports themselves.
Okay.
There's an article called Flight 19 Lost Patrol.
Huh.
And there's even a piece called Exercising the Devil's Triangle.
So they're addressing the Bermuda Triangle thing head on.
Yeah, it's clear that they're aware of all the speculation.
Right.
And they're trying to present the facts as they know them.
That's good. It's good to have that balance.
And they even have some pictures on the website, too.
Oh, really? Like what?
There's a photograph of Lieutenant Charles C. Taylor. And I think maybe the most interesting thing they have is a map.
A map.
Yeah, a map detailing navigation problem no. 1.
So you can actually see the flight plan.
Yeah, you can see where they were supposed to go.
That's really helpful for understanding how they could have gotten so lost.
Exactly. So let's kind of bring it all together here.
Okay.
Based on this official Navy account,
Uh-huh.
what are the key facts that stand out to you about the disappearance of Flight 19?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just how routine everything was at the beginning.
Yeah,
It was a standard training flight
right,
with experienced pilots,
right,
and then all of a sudden they're completely disoriented.
right,
And the radio transmissions, they just get more and more panicked and confusing.
right.
And then, of course, there's the fact that they never found any wreckage.
Yeah.
Not a trace.
It's really eerie.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, too, because you always hear about the Bermuda Triangle
Right.
in connection with this story.
Yeah.
But the official Navy record doesn't mention any of that.
Really?
They just focus on the possibility of navigational error
Okay.
and the tragic loss of these highly trained personnel.
So they're sticking to the facts.
Yeah, they're not speculating about supernatural forces or anything like that.
Right.
They're just presenting the information as they have it.
That makes sense.
And remember, this was 1945.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't have GPS or any of the sophisticated navigation technology we have today.
Right.
They were navigating mapping using compasses, dead reckoning visual landmarks.
Which are all much more prone to error.
Especially over water.
Right.
So it really makes you wonder
Yeah.
what really happened out there.
What do you think?
I don't know. It could have been a series of navigational errors,
Yeah.
maybe compounded by bad weather or equipment malfunction.
Right.
But that lack of wreckage is really hard to explain.
Yeah, it makes you think that maybe something else happened.
Something we don't understand.
Right.
So as we wrap up this deep dive for you,
Yeah.
it really leaves us with more questions than answers.
It does.
What do you make of it all?
It's definitely a mystery.
Do you think it was just a tragic accident?
It's possible.
Or could there be something more to it?
I don't know. What do you think?
It's hard to say, but I think it's important to consider the context,
Right.
the limitations of the technology at the time,
Uh-huh.
the power of nature,
Yeah.
and also just our own human desire to try to make sense of the unknown.
That's a big one.
I think that's why this story continues to fascinate people, even after all these years.
For sure.
Because it reminds us that there are still mysteries out there.
Yep.
Things we may never fully understand.
That's a good point.
So I'm curious to know what our listeners think.
Yeah.
What details stand out to you?
Right.
And why do you think this story continues to capture our imagination?
That's a good question.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely. And we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
Until then.